Hey everybody, welcome back to Laser Engraving 911. So if you haven't noticed, I haven't been on YouTube much lately, but it's for a very good reason. If you don't know, I've operated my business for the past 5 years out of my home in my basement, which I converted into my shop slash Laser Engraving 911 studio. And that's been great. It has its pluses and minuses. But with Laser Engraving 911 and Sonoma Laser constantly growing, I outgrew that space and I finally found a new location. So all I've been doing is building out the shop, moving stuff into the new location, which I can't wait to share with you. Because that's all that's been on my mind is build the shop. I was like, okay, well, what if I put myself in the mindset if I was going to build a small startup laser engraving business today and it's Amazon Prime Day deals? What kind of stuff could I get and take advantage of these deals to build out my shop today? And that's exactly what we're going to do on this episode is I'm going to take you through 30 different things that I would get taking advantage of these Prime Day deals to build out my shop today. And whether you get stuff today or whether you get it next month, if you're not ready yet, all this stuff is relevant items and furnishings and tools that I would use to start any kind of small startup laser engraving business or larger laser engraving business. So if that sounds like something you want to get into, then buckle up, get your pen and paper out, because we're about to get into it on Laser Engraving 911. All right, so first things first here, we're going to start with some furnishings for the shop. So this is a specific desk that I actually saw this deal and I put immediately in my cart because these desks are awesome. This is an electric ergonomic desk that raises and lowers with the touch of a button. It's 24 by 48. I like the natural wood color, whether that's real wood or not. It can hold up to 176 pounds. Look at this thing. So this thing right here is perfect for holding either like an F1 Ultra, a small portable desktop laser, even some of the mid-size little desktop lasers. Not going to leave you much room for like a computer or monitor, but I just saw this and I was like, man, this is where my F1 Ultra is going to live, or a fiber laser, and I can raise and lower it to any specific height that I need it to be, so you can just modify it. It looks sturdy, and right now it's 21% off. So I'm just going to kick this off right now and say that I am getting one of these already. You can see I already got some stuff in my cart, but I'm definitely hooking this up. So awesome table, perfect for any laser engraving workshop, especially for those small portable lasers. Just a nice little workstation, and it conforms to fit your needs depending on what height you need it to be at. And I think that's great. All right, moving on. Next, we've got the large art storage rack. So why do I have this in here? You're probably thinking, well, when you get into the laser engraving business, you're always going to have some form of sheet stock. So you're going to have plywood, you're going to have sheets of acrylic, you're going to have Rowmark, Laser Max, which we'll talk about later. But anyway, look at this cart. So I already did the measurements on this cart. And if you look at this particular image right here, you can see that the distance between the bottom is only 10 inches. So that means your 12 by 24 sheets of acrylic or wood are going to fit vertical in there. And I am just so sick of, stacking my sheet stock on top of each other, because especially with it acrylic, it can scratch and stuff like that. And I was like, what kind of rolling rack can I store my sheet stuff on? And I found this. And this is awesome. So if you're looking for something to hold your sheet stock, any of the material, it's on sale right now for 23% off at $63. I think this is a great tool to add to anyone who has sheet stock for laser cutting and wants to get it a little bit more organized. All right, moving on. All right, here we go. So this is a no-brainer, man. You're always going to have little bits and bobs, screws, little widgets. And what I like about this is that it's not just like a tool drawer or a rolling cart. It actually mounts on the wall, right? I'm trying to think with all these things, how can we save space in a home-based business or a basement-based business like I was up until a few weeks ago? But look at this. You can get a few of these. They're 18% off right now. And by the way, everything that we're talking about here, I'm going to list all the links in the description of this video. So you can go ahead and click on them, check them out yourself. Maybe some of these items will just give you some ideas on which direction to go. But this item right here was a great deal for 32 bucks. It looks a little sturdier than those Harbor Freight kind of wall mounted drawers. And I am definitely going to be picking these up to store all my little bits and bobs, get it off the wall and kind of up and away from everything. So definitely a good thing to have for organization. All right, next on the list is a very, very nice gaming chair. Now, I'm actually sitting in one very similar to this. And the reason I threw this up there is because, look, a big part of laser engraving and being in the laser engraving business is working at your computer, whatever design program you're using, whether it's Canva, Adobe Illustrator, Lightburn. I'm constantly at my desk creating files for my laser engraving projects, and I want to be comfortable, man. I don't want some crappy little office chair. I want to be as comfortable as possible. So I scoured through all these different chairs, and honestly, I have found that using a gaming chair at my desk is very, very comfortable. And this one has lumbar support and all that, and it's 43% off. So it's normally like $189. So I had to throw this in there because I think it's really smart to take care of your back, sit up straight when you're at your desk for so long working on all those graphic design files. All right, next on the list, we've got this rolling cart. Now, the reason I threw this on there, it's 20% off right now. It's $167. It's a very sturdy cart, highly rated. What I like about this is not so much this particular cart, which is a good deal, but any tool chest that also doubles as a work table. This is really, really important. So recently, you can't see it yet, but I'll show it to you in my shop. I needed to downsize my tool chest. I had too many tool chests, and I was like, if I'm gonna do that, I need drawers, but I also need it to be a workbench. Having surface area and workbenches in your laser engraving business is a must-have because you're constantly moving from station to station. And if you can get a tool like a tool chest that doubles as a table, that is the way to go. Just a little piece of advice so you're constantly having all these work surfaces. So if this isn't the right tool chest for you, maybe there's another one out there with a wood top, but definitely try to find a tool chest with a work top attached to it as well. Moving on here. Now, here is another type of workstation or work desk. I have bought these kits at least 4 times for my shop. And what it is you actually get the legs only. So you just get those metal legs, and then you go to the hardware store and buy the plywood, buy the 2x4s because these legs match up with it, and you build your own workbench the way you want it to. So you can build it low, you can build it high, you can build it with shelves, you can build it without shelves. It's just the hardware to build your own workbench to hold your big lasers or your small lasers. When you build these benches, I can tell you, and you'll see in my shop later, they hold plenty of weight. I've got my Epilogue sitting on one of these. Just a great kit for building your own workbenches to house your bigger and medium-sized lasers. And right now they're 20% off, so definitely look into these. All right, next on the list, we are going to start to get into some electronics and power tools and other electrical things that you might need in your laser engraving business. And once again, I'll list links to everything we're talking about in the description of this video. So let's move on to electronics and some power tools. So this little guy right here, this cord reel, it's a 60-foot cord reel with the sockets attached to it. I can't tell you how much I use this in my shop. I plug it in and I drag it to wherever I need it, whether I'm hooking up an extra fume extractor, doing a laser engraving 911 video and I need to power up some X tool device or another laser because I need power right there and I don't have it right there. I don't like using power strips when I can, and I find that this keeps the cord nice and tidy and it allows me to move power around the shop. A very handy tool, and right now it's 23% off on Prime Day. So I would definitely hook yourself up with one of these. They are an invaluable tool in any laser engraving business. All right, what do we got next? So here we go. I just said I don't like using power strips for just laying on the ground, but these kind of power strips are different. The way I like to use these kind of power strips is, remember those workbenches that we were talking about? I like to attach these to the very back of the workbench. So I have a long strip at the back of my workbench that I just built, and I have all the power I need for all the different accessories, lasers, computers, PCs, whatever it is that I'm doing at the workbench. I just build a big strip. And these come in 8 outlets. You can get a 12-foot one. You can get a 12 outlet one. This isn't listed here, but right now this one's 37% off. It's $18. I would definitely hook up a couple of these for sure. Moving on. Man, we got a lot to go through. This is fun. All right. So next up in this category, we've got the hanging shop lights. So I definitely had these at my home-based business. I don't need them here at my new location because we have built-in lights. But when you're in your garage or in your basement or in a small shop, having these hanging LED lights is really nice. And this is a very nice 4-pack. It's 24% off. That's what the Prime Day deal is. And I would definitely recommend that you hook up some of these if you need more light in your work area. You got to have good lighting when you're working in the laser engraving business so you can see what you're doing, see any little mistakes that might have happened, and just overall not get any eye fatigue from working in a dim, low lit area. So check these out if you're looking for some hanging lighting that you can hang from the ceiling right over your work area. All right, what do we got next? The almighty Armor All Shop Vac. I've talked about this before. This thing is 15% off during Prime Day deals. And I'm just going to tell you, it feels really plasticky and kind of cheap, but man, it does a great job. It's really powerful. It comes with all the attachments I need. I use it to clean up workstations. I use it to clean out my crumb tray and my lasers, clean up the lasers in general, and just clean up the shop. It's really like this big. It's not that big. And I just wrap it up when I'm done and stuff it in the corner, but it's a great little tiny shop vac. And if you don't like this one particularly, you need to have some kind of little shop vac anyway in your shop. So if that gives you an idea, you should be shopping around for one. All right, who do we got next on the hit list? Bam! All right, check out this tool. So I've talked about having a skill saw or circular saw in other videos, but I found this deal that's going on right now, and this thing intrigued me because I've talked about circular saws on some of my other videos and why they're important to have, especially if you want to buy sheet stock like wood or acrylic in bulk and you want to cut it down yourself. This can come in really handy, or cutting down larger sheets that won't fit in your current laser engraving system. So normally I use a regular circular saw, but I saw this and I was like, ooh, I need that, because this is basically like one of those full-size 6-inch circular saws, but a little bit smaller and just as powerful. And it comes with a couple of blades. Let's check this out. It comes with a 24 tooth blade, and it also comes with a 60. So that's really good because you want a higher tooth blade for cutting acrylic and things like that without getting a jagged edge. So this is 23% off. It is a great tool to have, especially for cutting down material. And I think the next one pairs with it just nicely. Yes, it does. So this is a replacement blade for that circular saw we just talked about, but it is a 120 tooth. Now, the reason you're going to want that is for cutting acrylic specifically. It will give you a nice, smooth cut on acrylic. You don't want to use that 24 tooth blade. It will just brittle and shatter your acrylic apart. So hook yourself up one of these if you want to start cutting down large sheets of acrylic. All right, let's see what we got next. So now we're getting into kind of some tech a little bit. So these microcomputers, I have 3 of them in my shop, and I use them to control my different workstations. So I've got one at the UV laser. I've got another one over at one of the F1 Ultra that powers the XCS software. I just use them all over the shop. It's a great, affordable micro PC. They can definitely run Lightburn. They can definitely run XCS. They're just really affordable and they work really, really well. They come with Windows 11. They have enough RAM, enough memory to do pretty much any laser engraving job you could possibly need. Now, would I recommend you try running Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator off of these? Probably pushing it a little bit because those programs are pretty intensive on the CPU. But for running those programs like we just talked about, these little PCs are great. They take up so little space in your workshop, and I would highly recommend them. Moving on from the micro PC, we've got another companion that goes right along with that, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So this is a single monitor arm. It's 32% off right now, and I am currently using this exact arm at my UV laser engraving workstation. So if you can imagine, I have the micro PC, I have this arm attached to the workbench that I built, and it swings out, and then now that I have this arm, which is only $33, I have a very nice monitor, which coincidentally is also 18% off attached to the arm. So what that does is it lifts my monitor off my workstation so I have more room for my laser engraver, and I get to place that monitor in space wherever I want. If any of you watched my recent glass engraving video on the UV laser on Laser MakerCon, you can see me with that exact setup. And these are the 3 things that you would need to make that same setup. It's just a very professional way to set up a monitor right next to your laser and get it off the table. Very ergonomic. It's really cool, and these are some great deals on how to build it out. All right, what do we got next? All right, now we're getting into a standard tool that every laser engraver should have. This is the Nico digital caliper. You definitely are going to need a few of these. I like the 6-inch, I like the 12-inch, and recently I saw a video where one of my favorite YouTubers actually reviewed all these digital calipers and put them to the test. And this particular caliper, which I've bought for years in my shop, came in like at one of the top 3 calipers for its price. And right now it's 15% off at Amazon. So I would definitely scoop up a few of these if you haven't already. It's a great caliber, super affordable, and I can't run my business without it, so you should hook it up. Moving on. Now, I've talked about this one before too, and this one's usually $119. It's the Wolfbox electric air duster, and it comes with all those delicious attachments right there, which are great for blowing out engravings, cleaning up your workstation. I can't tell you how much I use this in my shop. It comes in very handy, especially when it comes to sanding, or if I have to sand something down and then clean it off. It's great for blowing off some of that extra powder coating paint outside. If there's some left over, you're gonna find a million uses for it in your shop. It's on sale right now. This is actually the lowest price that I've seen it ever at $66.49. So if you don't have one of these in your shop, make sure you pick one up. Moving on, we've got the water-based fire extinguishers. Now, why I'm recommending that you have these in your home-based business or your little shop is because you don't want to get the powder-based fire extinguishers. You never know when a fire could happen. Accidents happen, it could happen, and if you've got to spray crap all over your laser in the event of a really, really bad situation, you don't want it to be the powder. The liquid that is in this particular fire extinguisher will not damage the electronics in your laser. I can tell you that for sure. So the liquid that's in this is not going to corrode or damage the internal components of your laser. I can't say so much for the fire that could be happening inside your laser. That might melt a few things. But if you want to have a affordable, quick way to put out an emergency fire in your laser engraving business, I would recommend that you use a water-based liquid fire extinguisher instead of the powder. You really don't want that powder everywhere in your shop or inside of your laser. You'll never get it out. This stuff you can wipe off and it won't harm the electronics inside of your laser. So pick yourself up a couple of these. They're 20% off. Keep them around the shop just in case. All right, moving on. Now, Dremel tool. Cordless Dremel tool. Nice to have. Why do we need this? So sometimes when you're engraving polished surface items, you're going to have to do some after post buffing or polishing. Maybe you scratch the surface. Maybe you want to make it look a little cleaner, and having a nice little portable wireless Dremel tool is always a good thing to have. And it's especially good to have if you're into making 3D embossed brass coins. Definitely, that's like a no-brainer. You have to have one of these. So this one's 20% off. It's 18 bucks. It's got some great reviews. It's affordable. I thought I'd throw it in there. I think it's a great thing to have in your tool chest. And the next thing that goes with it is the polishing wheels that can be used with it, and some rouge so you can do some polishing. If you've been watching any tutorials on how everybody's making these really nice brass embossed coins, they're always doing some post polishing afterwards. So having a nice Dremel kit and some polishing pads is how they're getting them looking so nice. So you're definitely going to want to have these in your shop as well. All right, let's see what we got next. Ah, yes, the famous T-bubble level. So I use these every day. You need to have this in your shop for making sure that small items are level, whether it's in your CO2 laser, whether it's underneath your UV laser or your fiber laser or any kind of laser. Keeping your items leveled in both directions is crucial. And these little cheap T-bubble levels are a godsend. So pick yourself up some of these. It's not on a Prime Day deal, but for $6, if you don't have these in your shop, you're definitely going to want to pick it up. All right, so now moving on to some more accessories for your laser engraving shop. We've got this 4-inch inline fan. Why am I throwing this up there? Listen, a lot of the lasers coming out today, especially the lower end affordable entry level lasers, do have some kind of exhaust fan built in, but they're not very powerful. And what I recommend you do is adding a booster fan in back of that so you can have better exhaust in your desktop laser. And this little unit right here is 25% off. It's $32.89. It's a 4-inch inline quiet, keyword quiet, inline fan, boasting a 211 CFM. Whether that's true or no, but this is a pretty good deal for an inline fan. And moving on from here, I'm going to show you some other accessories that I would recommend you use if you're just getting started to exhaust those nasty fumes and smoke out your window, especially for home-based business. So let's see what we got next. All right, cool. Check this out. 4-inch PVC dust collection hose. 10 feet. So look, it's 20 bucks. Don't get dryer venting. Don't get that cheap stuff. Get something rigid like this. Hook one end up to the back of your laser. You might need to get an adapter. Go into the input of that inline fan that we just talked about. Then get another length of 10 feet and throw that out your window. Right? So you've got super good exhaust coming out of your small desktop laser going right outside. I can't tell you how important this is. And before you just open your window and throw the other end of the hose out the window, check this out. So this adapter right here is a great adapter. It's also a 4-inch adapter. You can hook that exit hose up to it, cut yourself a piece of plywood, and make it the exact size of a gap that you would open in your window, and make your own window adapter so you're sealed off when you exit out the window. Don't just open up your window and throw the hose out, because everything's going to blow back in. You want to just crack your window open enough. Use this adapter right here to hook your hose up to, then close your window down on the piece of plywood that you built and seal it off. So that way the fumes are staying outside. So once again, not a Prime Day deal, but a $20 adapter that's going to allow you to adapt and vent outside without the vapors blowing back in. So just something to think about there. Next on the list, we've got some flat neodymium bars. We got some flat magnets. These are great to have around the shop for holding down thin material that doesn't want to lay flat on your laser engraving bed. You can 3D print or laser cut some little hold downs, but I like using these super flat magnets to hold down my material. Most crumb trays are made out of steel now. They were making them out of aluminum for a while, but they realized that people wanted to hold things down, or it was just cheaper to make it out of steel. But in any case, these work great for any kind of crumb tray that has a steel crumb tray grid on it, so you can hold your stuff down flat. And these are what, $17.98. All right, and last, before we get to some excellent resources for buying blank items, on our Amazon list is LA's Totally Awesome. If you haven't heard of LA's Totally Awesome, this is my go-to cleaner for cleaning up tumblers, and also acrylic, like 2-ply acrylic. After it's got soot or any kind of schmutz on it, you can hit those items with the LA's Totally Awesome, wipe it off with a microfiber cloth. This stuff is magic. It will get all the soot off of 2-ply acrylic, especially that tri-layer acrylic, and it's great for tumblers, a must-have for any laser engraving business. So that's it for my Amazon shop build-out list. Now I'm just going to throw in some bonus resources if you're looking for blanks. So let's get into it. First on the list is Houston Acrylics. So Houston Acrylics, I've talked about them in my previous tips on engraving acrylic. These guys are great, man. They have the best, coolest acrylic, some of the best prices I've seen. I'll list a link in the description below. If you're looking for clear acrylic, glitter acrylic, swirl acrylic, glow-in-the-dark acrylic, and fluorescent acrylic, any kind of acrylic you could imagine, Houston Acrylic has it. They are my favorite acrylic supplier and have been for quite some time now. And the people over there are great. Really, really, really good folks over there. Great customer service. So if you're just getting into this and you want a great place to buy some acrylic stock, then you can stock it in that cool little cart that we covered earlier. Definitely check out the link in the description below for Houston Acrylic for all your acrylic needs. And if you're looking for even more acrylic, you're definitely going to want to check out Johnson Plastic Plus, a great supplier for not only Romark acrylic, which I love, and I'll list my favorites down below, but also tons of laser engraving blanks. They've got so many laser engraving blanks. If you're just looking for blank items to start your laser engraving business, you definitely want to get an account on Johnson Plastic Plus. By the way, I'll list a discount code for 15% off your whole purchase at Johnson Plastic Plus in the description of this video, along with a link. You can go over there, make an account if you don't have an account already. They've got a really nice leatherette selection. They've got tons of leatherette items to engrave. They've got blank tumblers, basically just everything, laser engraving blanks, and they've got acrylic and tons of other items that you probably didn't even think of that you can start engraving right away. Johnson Plastic Plus has been around for a long time. It's one of my favorite suppliers to go to when I'm looking for laser engraving blanks for customers, for my own projects, or for my shop. So definitely give them a whirl. If you haven't heard of them yet, make an account and use my discount code for 15% off. And it's not a one-time code either. You can keep using it over and over and over again. Next on the list, if you are looking for some wood supply, check out Creative Cut Supplies. Recently, over the last year, my new favorite supplier for buying all my laser engraving wood material blanks, or blank sheets, should I say. I love their selection. They've got everything from basic laser engraving wood like Baltic birch to different species of wood like cherry wood, alder wood. They got sample packs, 1/8, 1/4, quarter inch. They've got 1/16 inch laser, uber thin wood, but definitely get your butt over to Creative Cut Supplies if you're looking for some great supplies for wood. They've got dual tight. Oh, let's talk about that. So they've got their dual tight adhesive. This stuff is great. So dual tight adhesive you can put on the back of your wood before you laser engrave it. That way you've got adhesive on the back soon as you pull it off of your laser, and you can do multi-layered signs without using glue because you're using their ultra strong dual tight adhesive. So wood supplier, Creative Cut Supplies, great place to buy your wood. And then last but not least, we've got MakerFlow Crafts, another great place to buy laser engraving blanks for your laser engraving business. I'll list a link in the description below. I've got my own dedicated page over there at MakerFlow Crafts. I know they kind of changed their name recently to MakerFlow. That's fine. I still kind of call them MakerFlow Crafts because that's what I'm used to. But on this page, which I'll list below, I've got all my favorite items. And if you haven't seen my full review of tons of their items, I'll list a link to that video as well down in the description. So check out MakerFlow. Check out the blank selection that I've curated here. They've got some great stuff. And if you want to see me laser engrave all this stuff on the page as well, check out that video I did on all their products. So, that is my Amazon Prime Day deal shop build out special just for you. I can't wait to show you guys my shop once it's all finished and all organized. I'm going to give you the full shop tour, and I've got some great videos coming up in the middle of this month and next month and beyond that. And thank you all for supporting Laser Engraving 911 and bearing with me why I go through this transition phase to expand both Laser Engraving 911 and Sonoma Laser. And thank you all for your support. So until then, I'll see you around on Laser Engraving 911.